Tim Smith, Pricing Dude. Find me on LinkedIn.
Hello, fellows. Welcome to the next episode of Jagged with Jasravee, conversations at the edge with thought leaders from the marketing, branding, and the business world. Hi, Tim. Thrilled to have you on my show.
Hi, it's great to be here. It's a wonderful day in the world to be alive.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful night in Mumbai, and people are just about to party, right? So it's like sort of so.
Superb.
Right.
Tim, if we requested you to tweet your profile, what would you say?
Tim Smith, Pricing Dude. Find me on LinkedIn.
Yay. Okay.
Right.
So apt.
We like the dude bit, right? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Discussing your book, Pricing Done Right, right? What is you've advocated the concept of value-based pricing, and it's so different from all the literature that we read on pricing, which is just sort of trying to benchmark it versus competition. And you advocate that competitors' price is not sufficient for determining the price a firm can interact, and it's basically the benefits and the value that you perceive based from these value engineering principles is what is very critical in sort of doing that.
Yeah. So the idea of just pricing lower than your competition or at your competition, you can always do that. That doesn't promise you make money. Why does a business go through product development? Why do you spend money on branding? You spend that money on branding, you do the product development, you do your customer surveys, you try to figure out what customers want because you want to build something better. If it's better, they will pay more for it. And so you really have to think about the value differential. Are you better? If so, you can charge more. If you're worse, you have to charge less. When the customer comes to make a decision about purchasing, they're asking three questions. What's my alternative? That's the level setting. Are you better or are you worse? That determines how much they're willing to pay and if they want you. And then the third question they ask is, do I care about that difference? You've been in branding and marketing for 20 years plus. You know that sometimes you come out with products that you think are better and the customer says, I didn't care. Right. So you have to figure out what they care about and then deliver to that. Okay. In the book, I talk about Southwest Airlines because I think it's a great case study about competing with the car rather than with an airline. But fast forward from the 1970s, that was a lifetime ago, to today, now. So today and now, we're coming out with electric vehicles, EV, right?
Right.
And this year, I believe, Ford has released an F-150 Lightning.
Right.
Now, the F-150 Lightning EV pickup truck. It's a pickup truck. It's used heavily to haul stuff by work people who need to move wood and tools and stuff. Yeah. And yes, sometimes people, but we're going to ignore that part. Now, think about it. EV, that is so cool. An electric vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it happens somewhat in India, but in the United States, we have this huge truck culture where they want to have the fancy trucks with the gold-plated rims, to buy the Denali and the fancy Escalades, right? All these fancy cars and fancy trucks,
right? And
they go for like $70,000, $100,000 a shot.
Right.
So Lordstown, a company that's trying to get a startup, and Rivian are trying to get a startup, is building trucks and aiming for $100,000, $125,000, maybe $90,000 per vehicle. And they're going to be fancy. They're going to be beautiful. Oh, all that great stuff.
Right.
Sure, the rich people might like that. They may be willing to pay more for it, etc. But Ford identified their target market. Notice I'm related to who is making the decision.
Right.
their target market, and they were purchasing generally not the F-150 Lightning EV because it didn't exist. They were buying the standard F-150.
Right.
The F-150 is one of the most popular trucks in America,
Right.
and heavily used by contractors, by small companies that are trying to do lawn maintenance. And I'm getting bricks put in my building. That happens in Chicago. You have to put your bricks back in your building because it's so cold, the bricks fall out from the ice freezing in the mortar between. Nothing you have to worry about in India, I hope.
we worry about being flooded and being, sort of drowned out. So that's, yeah.
Different.
Yeah, here we worry about,
Yeah.
well, when they said winter is coming in Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
yeah, we know what
Okay.
So the F-150 did not try to compete at the $100,000. Instead, the F-150 Lightning went for $40,000, plus or minus some change, because the standard F-150 was slightly cheaper than that, but the F-150 Lightning is better because, no fuel, right?
Right.
Saves on fuel costs over the course of a lifetime. And they targeted the contractors who are not looking for the fancy gold-plated car. They're looking for a truck they can work with.
Right.
And the fact that it has a 300-mile radius, who cares? They drive it home every night anyway.
Right.
So it's not a problem. It's identifying your target market, identifying what they're comparing it to. For F-150 Lightning, they were comparing it to an F-150 or a similar Ram 1500 or GM, General Motors type thing. And they realized a little bit better, and their target customer was willing to pay for it, and they priced it at that point.
Right.
And so far, I'm hearing rave reviews. Yeah.
That's great. So basically, you're saying that, ultimately the pricing sort of, follows from business strategy. And that is what you mentioned in your book also, and it's also important to sort of, figure out the customer segment that you're serving and the choice of customer that you were trying to serve and how do you serve those customers. So, I mean, it's a very sort of important point that you're making. And very often you find that the companies are not sort of clear how the pricing is aligned to their business strategy. So what are your views on that?
Too often companies just focus on closing deals.
Right.
And they're willing to squander price to close deals and close more deals. Right. In the textbook, we talk about volume hurdles and how much more you have to sell to handle a 5% price increase.
Right.
And the increase in sales for many companies is like, I have to sell 25% more units to make up for a 5% price cut. This is not going to work. The volume's just not there. And there's been a revolution in pricing where we started thinking about, that's the 5-box diagram in the book, started thinking all the way back to business strategy. Who is my actual customer that I'm targeting? How is my competitor trying to attract that customer? And what leverage, what power, what ability, what capability can we deliver that keeps that customer for us, unless the competitors go away? So you start out with corporate strategy. What am I doing? Am I delivering high value like a Nike, or am I doing super cheap shoes? Which is perfectly fine too. What am I doing? Am I an Apple or a Geo phone? What am I doing, right? And then you follow through with pricing strategy. That's the skim, neutral, penetrate, which you probably remember from your MBA. Right. But it also has to do with what's your price structure. Am I doing versioning, good, better, best, super best versioning? Or am I doing bundling? Or am I doing add-ons? Or am I doing a 2-part tariff? Or am I doing a tying arrangement? How am I going to structure the prices? What am I pricing? The digital revolution has changed everything.
Right.
It used to be I sold glasses by the number of glasses, right? And the price is per glass, right? Well, if I'm selling software, how do I price it? Per user? That makes no sense if I'm selling like utility billing software or electric software to reduce the electric consumption at a manufacturing plant. It's not per user. It's how much electricity am I saving you? Or how am I helping your business run more efficiently or effectively? You got to think in terms different metrics. Pricing strategy, and then who is doing pricing. I mean, pricing used to be the spreadsheet jockey, just kind of looks at it like that, and we've changed. It's like you have to think to do pricing well. So how do you build the pricing team? And global companies, leading companies, are building those pricing teams right now and finding the leverage out there. Then you move past pricing strategy into market pricing. And this is where your standard tools like conjoint analysis or some sort of market study comes in and says, okay, I'm pricing per square footage of retail space because I'm going to help them sell more at the retail place. And should I price it at $2 per square foot or $100 per square foot or 2 cents per square foot? What's the number right there? You got to do the market research to find the number that associates with the unit you're measuring to go out. Then you get into negotiations and price variance policy. Okay, so I'm going to charge the large stores $1.50 per square foot and the small stores $2 per square foot. How am I going to negotiate between these two kinds of places, right? And then finally get into tactical issues. There's been an IT revolution and CPQ, configure, price, quote, where you're trying to use software to ensure that your right customers get the right price at the right time and everything's arranged, right? The price execution part. And all of this is connected with analysis, intelligence, thinking. Some of it is software, some of it is just simply I can use fancy words, machine learning for intelligence augmented artificial intelligence of pricing. Whoa, fancy words. Yeah, or you can just call it stats. But you got to apply this so you understand what's going on. It's amazing to me how many CEOs of $100 million to $1 billion worth of revenue have no idea as to how many different prices for one product are out in the market. So you have to help salespeople understand what they should be able to capture in a situation. And you have to let the CEO knows how much money they're squandering away in bad negotiations. Yeah. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, not at all. So, Tim, now we've come to the market from business into the market. Now we're going to talk about how a firm can influence a customer's perception of value and what is the role of branding in that.
The branding is key. I mean, why do you think you spend money on branding? It's to improve the attractiveness of your offering. Improve the attractiveness of the offering means you're better. Means you can charge more. Means that when your competitor lowers the price, you can sometimes ignore them. I mean, think about Apple when they came out with the iPhone and then Samsung comes out with a cheaper phone. Does Apple care? I mean, they care, but they do not respond, right? And so you have to think about who are you competing with for your target market segment and how you actually have to put this out. The branding, what you say influences people's perception of value. So you see those advertisements when they just say, I don't know, Purex.
Right.
$2, right? And you're like, cool. You could also buy Tide, also at $2. Well, which one's better? Yeah, they're both laundry soap. Who cares, right? It makes people price sensitive when it just says the brand and the price. And that's all they add. And you see it in your circulars on this and the newspaper and at the grocery store, right? In contrast, when you do national ads, like you say, this is my muesli. It has all these great vitamins and good nutrients. It will provide you with the fiber. It's not too much calories. It's the perfect amount of breakfast. You mix it with your yogurt, and it's going to be like this perfect breakfast for you to have a full and energetic day. Now, in that entire ad, I didn't say anything about the price. What I've done, though, is I've queued you up to say I'm focused on the benefits. I need a breakfast. I need breakfast to get me through the day and have that energy to go out there and do the good fight, right? Yeah. I want to focus people on the benefits because if I don't tell them the benefits in my branding, they won't see it and they won't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So it takes care of the price sensitivity. That's one aspect. If you're looking at the psychological influences overall and the cognitive biases and how behavioral science is now come into the picture, Tim, would you like to talk about some of the effects in particular that influence how a consumer perceives value? For example, anchoring or fairness effect.
I like anchoring. That's an interesting topic because we do suffer as human beings from anchoring and under adjustment. And this is part of why your lover, your spouse, will tell you something and you're just like, oh, sure. And then another person tells you the same thing and you're like, oh, you won't believe it. And then your spouse says, what is wrong with you? Why don't you listen to me?
Yeah.
This is a human condition. We anchor on information we gather early in the process, and then we underadjust to new information coming into the process.
Right.
So as marketing people, we often think about the purchasing cycle. First, we identify a need. Then we go out there and do some learning about the opportunity. Then we go and we do some comparing about the opportunity. What's the options? Now let's make a comparison. Then we make a decision. We make a purchase decision. Then we use it and we experience it. And eventually it wears out. We buy another one, right?
Yeah.
Where does price come in? In some cases, it comes in early. In some cases, it doesn't come in until you get to that purchase decision issue. Okay. And in general, I want people to think about not releasing the price until it gets to the purchase decision area. Because until then, you really want them to be focused on the benefits. And you don't want them to start thinking about the trade-off till you get to the purchase decision area. Now, there are cases where you need to put it more up front, right? In which case you may want to set the bar high so that when they get a discount, they feel like they won something. Whoa, I thought it was 100 ringgit. Now it's only 70. Oh my gosh, I got a good deal. Woohoo, right?
Yeah.
And it's a question of how you help the customer understand what is a good value and what is important in making the purchase decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll always have competition. So that initial number you give them has to be in the realm of reasonableness on the high end, but not so high that you lose the customer altogether.
Right.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
So one very interesting thing which I found in your book, was this, competitive price reaction matrix. That how do you react to competitors' pricing, and and you sort of put it in a 2x2 grid, where you said it's based on a competitive advantage, or and versus the other side of the grid being pricing power. So can you sort of elaborate on that? Because a lot of times we don't really evaluate and we react very impulsively to price changes, and we don't really consider our position either in terms of advantage or pricing power. So,
well, first of all, thank you. I use the number one tool of every consultant and say, if you have two dimensions, just make a grid and automatically you know something, right?
Right.
So there were two issues that are really hot on CEOs' minds, and competitive advantage is one of them, and pricing power is another. Warren Buffett helped put that on people's minds.
Right.
And so you just create a grid and start thinking about, well, where do I sit in comparison with my competitors? And Apple would be easily sitting in both having a competitive advantage. I mean, they have TSMC making chips, they have Foxconn putting together the phones, et cetera. They've been doing this. And they also have pricing power. It's an Apple. You love it. Oh my gosh, it's a perfect ecosystem. Steve Jobs is brilliant. We all say these kinds of things, right? And so they have pricing power. And when Samsung drops a little bit, Apple can kind of just keep moving forward, right? This is a completely different game than if you're a Zhao or a Xiaomi or some other handset maker, right? Then you move into the area where you have no price, no competitive advantage. Your cost to produce is the same as the next person's cost to produce, relatively, but you do have some pricing power. The example I use in the book is kind of obscure, but I will try to go through it. There was a drug drugs, let's be honest, I think you know well, cost nothing to make, virtually, maybe 2 cents a pill. Okay, so it's really low cost to make. It's all the value comes in, do I heal you with my pills? Right. That's the question, right? Mm-hmm. And so there was a patent on these pills. And what these pills did is they treated hepatitis C, right. Killing disease, which many Americans got back in the 1960s. Can't imagine how. Right. Ha and they're older, and now it's time for the hepatitis C to cause some challenges so their liver and kill them. Well, there was a drug developed which actually cures you from hepatitis C about 95% of the time, which is extremely good. Cure, never before existed, a total cure. Mm-hmm. And so they came out with this package with the drug, and the drug formula, the way you take it was 1 pill a day, which is good because honestly, most people don't take their drugs that they're supposed to. They just don't follow what the doctor says because, you know, we're stupid. And it was good. Now, a competitor came in and was able to make a biosimilar or a similar type solution, understood the science and just came up with something similar, and could not produce it in 1 pill a day format due to patents. They had to produce it in the 4 to 6 pills a day format because of patents, right? So now we have a barrier to entry into totally copying them, but it's not a particularly strong barrier to entry, right? Now, the problem is if you miss a pill, you die.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So which do you want? The pill, 1 pill a day or 4 to 6?
Obviously one. It's a no.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the guys who came out with the 4 to 6 pills a day were selling it at $20,000. This is American medicine. Don't even get me started on how stupid it is.
Okay.
We came out with a regimen that was $20,000 a cycle, cheaper than the other. And the other was about $90,000. And remember, the alternative is liver surgery, which is about $125,000 for a liver replacement, or death.
Right.
I'm not going to put a number on that one.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they were like constantly being berated. How are you going to respond to this cheaper alternative? How are you going to respond? What are you going to do? And they would just keep repeating one phrase. It's 1 pill a day. It's a simpler regimen. Patients are more likely to stick with it.
Okay.
So here you're using communication to manage this cheaper alternative and set branding, set the expectations in the brain to say, I need this because it's more likely to work for me. Yes, they did have to drop the price a little bit, but the competitor, which unfortunately was Chicago based, I wish they had done better, but anyway, no more, gone.
Right.
They made a big deal about how it was going to be a $3 billion product line when they started.
Right.
Within a year, they stopped talking about it in the annual reports.
Right.
So, no more.
Right.
The next case is where you don't have any pricing power, and there is the issue: do you have are you cheap or not? And if do you have a competitive advantage in production or not? If you don't have any pricing power and your competitor lowers the price, good luck. You may go under. If you do have a competitive advantage and the competitor lowers the price, all you can do is try to encourage the industry towards more rational pricing decisions, but otherwise you'll survive, right? And if you have neither competitive advantage nor pricing power, well, like I said, you just try to survive. You just try to survive. This is the talent show portion, correct?
That's right.
Do you see it?
Yeah, your bike.
I am a cyclist.
Super.
Yeah, I sometimes take my bicycle on little trips, like you see on the right side of that. I rode my bike from Chicago up to Milwaukee, took the fast ferry across to Muskegon, and went down from Muskegon all the way back to Chicago. It's about 500 kilometers in cycling. Although if you do the math from 400 miles to kilometers, you'll get about 650. The issue is that across the lake, I'm not actually riding a bike. I'm sitting on a boat, right?
Right.
But yeah, I rode my bike last weekend, just last weekend.
That's but you did it in like only 24 hours.
24
That's
hours.
like,
Yeah.
that's
24 hours of cycling time, not 24 hours from start to finish.
all right,
Took me
all right.
5 days, okay?
5
Oh,
And
days.
I was 24 hours on the bicycle.
Right.
I'm not
Pardon my
Superman.
bad.
Yeah. He knows nothing about it.
So I thought that was superhuman actually. Why have a car if you can cycle so fast?
No, okay. No.
Do you have like a group of friends or buddies who go cycle, or you like to cycle alone? Or?
Well, you see the photo on the left.
Right.
I'm riding through the woods. I'm
Right.
riding through sand dunes. I'm riding through the beautiful nature,
Right.
which is provided by the great creator.
Right.
Why would I want to bother with noise or conversation?
Right.
I just enjoy the 24 hours of pure meditation.
Right.
I was
Listening to the birds and the rustling and the rippling of the water. It is just so peaceful and
Right.
centering. It's a wonderful meditative exercise.
Right.
You've been doing this since when, Tim? And how often do you do it in a year, for example?
Oh, I only do like one major trip a year, but I also do a couple of centuries. Centuries is like 100 miles or 160 kilometer
Right.
organized rides.
Okay.
I like the organized rides because you don't get lost, your roads are protected, and nobody's going to hit you, kind of a thing, right?
Mm.
But this touring, where you just see the countryside and you just enjoy the air, that's
Right.
a totally different beast, and it's so much more peaceful.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I've gone about 3,000 kilometers so far this year.
Right.
I didn't always ride a cycle. I was a runner for a long time,
Right.
but fortunately, I'm not dead. So I grew older, and the basic rule is I looked at my family. They all had hip replacements and knee replacements, and I was pricing hip replacements and knee replacements. And
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I'd rather not do that. So I switched from running and went into cycling, which has, low impact on your joints.
Yeah. Okay.
Although I will share one more thing.
Yeah,
That's
please.
my wife.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've dedicated your book to her, haven't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
My company would not exist if she was not in my life. The rapid fire.
A signature rapid fire. Your favorite personal possession?
My watch.
Your alternate profession could have been?
Starbucks barista.
That's a nice one.
If you didn't have to sleep, what would you do with that time?
Read more books.
Right. How many books do you read in a day or in a week? Sorry.
I read more philosophical books like Amartya Sen. Do you know him?
No.
He's Indian.
Amartya Sen, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I haven't read him, but yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't read them fast. You read them slow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I get the drift.
Yes,
That's kind
yes.
of book I would read like one in a year types.
Right now, I'm reading though Rawls, RAWLS, and on justice.
Right.
Similar topic as Amartya Sen.
If you could be any animal, what would that be and why?
A dog. Who doesn't love a dog?
So you want to be loved and cuddled?
Yes.
Wasn't that obvious? Okay. What would you do on Mars for fun? Planet Mars.
I would jump because my gravity is so low and I'd want to see how far I can jump.
Right.
Superb. Your most often used phrase.
Yeah. Come on, that one's got. You got to keep it clean here, and you ask for rapid fire. I lose.
That was a trap. Okay, I'll modify the question. What is your wife's most often used phrase? Does that help?
I got to work.
Okay. One thing no one knows about you.
I love to cook.
Oh, right. Any
Really?
preferred cuisine?
I don't cook Indian food because it's too easy to buy it out, and
Right.
it's better when they cook it.
Right.
I love to cook fish.
Right.
Love to cook fish.
Oh.
Any kind of fish. I broil it. I put it on the charcoal. I fry it. I bake it. I love fish. Absolutely. And it could be
What about eating it raw also, like sushi?
oh, sure, but I'm not going to make that at home. I'll buy it out because you want clean fish for that. But I have made it on a boat. I caught myself a bonita, mahi. I don't know what you call it in India, but it's a rainbow fish. It has many colors. It's really beautiful. Cut the head off, ate the fish. It was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah? Wow, what an experience.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing you love about your wife.
That she cares about me. My gosh, this is that simple. She helps me have a better day every day. She supported me. She's awesome.
A book you'd like to gift to all your friends.
Obviously,
Pricing done right.
I was about to come on that. I didn't want that book.
No, that you've already done now.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Date more.
We'd request you for our audiences, Tim, if you'd like to share your online addresses, although it will be part of the show notes.
Yeah, where they can find or follow you. I mean, one of these places. Yeah.
The number one place to find me is on LinkedIn, and follow me on LinkedIn. I only have 450,000 followers. So that's an easy way to follow what's going on in this brain of mine.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Or you can find what I have to write on the wiglafjournal.com. We do need to be on the edge, and we need to keep pushing the edge if we're going to grow. And if we're not pushing the edge faster than our competitor, we fall behind and we lose. With Jasravee, you get to actually be on the edge and jagged edge and move that thing forward. She's fun. Thank you for this opportunity.
Right. Thanks a
Oh
lot.
my God. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thanks a lot, Tim. And thanks for your time.
Namaste from India.
Namaste.
Yes.
Namaste.